Hello and welcome to Haunted Montreal's Spooky Story Sessions. I'm your host, Holly Rhiannon, and today I'm going to tell you about Duggan House. Here at Haunted Montreal, we bring you ghost stories in both French and English every Saturday. Before we get into today's story, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you get notified every time we've got a new tale to share. This is our very first video, so I do hope you enjoy and stick with us. Now, without further ado, let's get spooky. Perched at the very top of McTavish Street is the Duggan House. Not surprisingly for our topic, it's your classic creepy Gothic mansion. Nestled right into Mount Royal, the shadowy estate is currently owned by McGill University and is one of the oldest buildings on campus. Built in 1861 using materials from a haunted castle, Duggan House brings a whole new meaning to the expression school spirit. While nobody is certain exactly who or what is haunting Duggan House, there is a lot of speculation. Some journalists have suggested that perhaps the building is haunted by the infamous ghost of Simon McTavish himself. Others believe that a worker who fell 3 stories to his death while demolishing the castle in 1861 haunts the site. Either way, it was the recycled stones from McTavish's haunted castle that built Duggan House on the same cursed land, which lends credence to the theory that Duggan House is, if anything else, indeed haunted. Built originally for Orrin S. Wood of the Montreal Telegraph Company, Duggan House was based on blueprints drafted by architect Andrew B. Taft. The Gothic mansion was originally called Brayhead, and it passed through the hands of many prominent families. Orrin S. Wood, Charles D. Proctor, Matthew Hamilton Galt, and George Herrick Duggan all raised families in this house. But the property was not purely home to families. It was also used as a home for convalescing soldiers from 1911 to 1929, which, as you can imagine, would not have always been sunshine and rainbows. In 1944, George Herrick Duggan gifted the property to McGill University on the condition that he could continue living there until his death, which did happen in the house in 1946. This is the same year that another unique feature was added to the property: a tunnel connecting it to Purvis Hall to the west. During the 1940s, the McGill Faculty of Commerce was using both buildings for classes and wanted to ensure ease of movement. The problem is that Purvis Hall is also rumored to be haunted. In this case, by industrialist Arthur B. Purvis himself, who tragically died in a plane crash in 1941. Some students whisper about ghosts using the tunnel, traversing between the mysterious estates for reasons unknown. Apparently, the Faculty of Commerce moved out in 1977, partly because the business students were unhappy with the haunted facilities. Duggan House was passed to the Faculty of Education, who have occupied the creepy mansion ever since. A more recent and detailed story occurred in the house in the 1990s when a female graduate student had a terrifying encounter. She was scheduled to have an important academic meeting with her professor in the large foyer of the building, and when she arrived, she found him waiting for her in a large plush chair. The student sat opposite him, put her purse on the floor next to her, and flipped open her notebook. She was in the process of explaining some new avenues of research when suddenly she froze and stopped speaking. Her mouth agape, she stared at the shadowy spiral staircase behind her professor. The student was now in a state of panic and began pointing wildly at the staircase and screaming. What she witnessed was the ghostly specter of a woman clad in a 19th century petticoat, who materialized at the top of the staircase and began her descent into the foyer below. Now, beginning to shriek hysterically, the girl threw her professor into a panic. He immediately spun his chair around to face this imminent danger that was terrorizing his student. But there was nothing to be seen. The event, however, is not quite over. Soon they both heard a rattling noise at the window, as if someone had thrown something at the Venetian blinds. The blinds shifted about violently, causing both student and professor now to jump up from their chairs. It was at that moment that the student realized her purse, which she had placed on the floor beside her, was missing. She began to hyperventilate. But then the blinds slowly stopped swinging. The noises stopped. As the professor tried to calm his distraught student, he looked up towards the window and found her purse, dangling from the Venetian blinds, all tangled up in knots. Other strange phenomena occurs at the Duggan House, such as the sounds of mysterious footsteps, or the fact that objects are often placed in different locations or go missing entirely. While many of the students' theories suggest that this place is haunted by the ghost of a man, none of them explain why a ghostly woman might appear at the top of the spiral staircase. Perhaps a feasible explanation would be centered around Elizabeth Joanna Bourne, the wife of politician Matthew Hamilton Gault. She raised 16 children in the home starting in 1868. Mothering so many children at any time, but especially during this era, was an extremely difficult task, even with the help of servants. 5 of the Gault children died in infancy, no doubt traumatizing their mother. The first 4 were all male and all perished as infants. However, the last child to die was a little 7-year-old girl named Beatrice Frederica Baldwin Gault. When Beatrice died in 1880, her mother Elizabeth was said to have become unhinged, unable to deal with the tragedy. Could the ghost who appears on the stairs be the specter of Elizabeth Joanna Bourne, who died in 1908, still tending to her lost children in a paranormal afterlife? Nowadays, it's not future business leaders being terrified by ghosts, but rather aspiring teachers. And McGill education students are known for their enthusiasm. However, those studying at Duggan House quickly learn an opposite meaning of the term school spirit, not one that brings about a sense of warmth and solidarity, but rather feelings of fear and panic. And that's all we've got on Duggan House for today. If you've had an experience at Duggan House, we'd love to hear it, especially if you've developed any theories of your own regarding who may be haunting it. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Haunted Montreal YouTube channel for our inaugural video. If you'd like to learn more about the organization founded by Donovan King, it's all listed in the description down below. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'll have a new video out next Saturday, but until then, stay spooky.